Welcome to Beyond the Blockchain with Scott Tindle, a discussion of blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, and why it matters to you.
Hey folks, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Scott Tindle. This is Beyond the Blockchain, and this is our first live episode. We're really excited to be here on 106.5 and get to talk to all of you. We hope you'll join us each week, Wednesday night at 7 p.m. You can also join us on the Facebook page, submit some questions through Twitter or the phone line. We hope this is an interactive show, so this should be a lot of fun. And what we're doing here today is we are going to talk about the blockchain. We're going to talk about cryptocurrencies, and we are going to talk about NFTs and everything else that falls in between. And I know that's a lot to cover. So one of the things I want to let you know is if any of these terms and concepts seem a little foreign to you or maybe a little academic, you can go to our website, beyondtheblockchainshow.com, where you can see the primer and you can see a lot of your questions and answers in the beginning. Go ahead and get them answered, and you'll also be able to see a full hour of Q&A that we've done to knock out some of the more heady concepts. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to dive right into the show and talk about some crypto headlines. And, I'm excited to be able to do this show, and I'm really excited that Sean Sullivan's here with me in the studio today. And thank you, Sean, for giving me an opportunity to take the show and see if we could educate people and, let them know a little bit more about this technology that we both feel is going to change the world.
Yeah, well, after having you on the show many times and realizing that an hour was not enough, just talking to me, that I said, you know what, we need to do this every week. So I'm glad you're doing the show. And I am one of your consumers of this product. I'm interested. I know enough to know that I don't know. So I appreciate you doing this.
Well, that's part of what we want to do is we want to make everybody what we call cocktail party dangerous.
What's that mean?
So it gives you just enough information that if you get caught, having a conversation with someone and you feel a little awkward, you've got enough that you can get through that beer, that drink, or that juice box, right, to get on to the next conversation. But you can carry on the conversation. You understand what it means. You can give it back and forth. Then if you want to dive deeper, we'll give people plenty of opportunities to do that as well.
Yeah, I love the idea of the show being beyond the blockchain, because when you and I first started talking about this, I, like so many, was focused on cryptocurrency. That was the one thing I knew. I asked you questions about Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoin or whatever, right? Those were the things. And you opened my eyes and pointed out that the cryptocurrency is just one small part of this bigger story.
Right. And it's the fun part, right? It's the sexy part. It's the part that gets us excited. And fundamentally, it's going to change the way that we interact with one another and the way that we do business with one another. But the fun part is all the other things that happen underneath the layers of what's going on with blockchain technology and NFTs and how that's going to transition so many parts of our lives.
So it's not just, for most people, they hear something about blockchain, they go, well, that means Bitcoin.
Right.
And that's
true.
Right.
That is true. And that's where the blockchain really got started, right? There were these concepts of the blockchain before Bitcoin. But what the blockchain does is it allows people to have interactions with one another in a trusted way where they don't need a central authority or intermediary. They don't need anybody's permission. They don't need the bank's permission. And they don't need the government's permission, which I know a lot of our listeners here, are interested in. Right? So what the goal of this show is to talk about how this stuff matters to us in our daily lives. Not just theoretically, but like practically, why do I care? Right? I got this why do I care? That should be the end of the day.
If I'm not buying cryptocurrency, which I want to get into in a second, but if I'm not buying it, why do I care?
Well, you should still care, because no matter what your industry is, I'm pretty sure that we've got a pretty strong, with a little lead time, we can give you an example on how the blockchain is going to impact your industry. So we're not
beyond just currency, even though the digital currency is beyond that.
That's right. I mean, to give people an idea, they say, when is the blockchain going to be relevant to me? And I would say that, TradeLens is a blockchain owned by the maritime industry, the big stewards of the maritime industry, and about 80% of the world's cargo is currently tracked via that blockchain. So if you order anything from Amazon or anywhere else online,
that's
all that data has already been tracked by the blockchain, all those shipments. Yeah, so this is already impacting your life and is driving down costs. And that's the one thing that blockchain technology will do across the board is we will drive down the cost in every industry as you take away the friction.
So I mean, you say take away the friction. So how does that work? How do you lower costs? Like, if I'm buying a widget off of Amazon, right?
Right.
How is it dropping the price for me?
Let's take Amazon as an example, right? So right now, when you buy something through Amazon, your purchase has to get verified by your bank to ensure you have the money. Then the intermediary, whoever their credit card processor is, then their bank along the way. Every step along the way, people take margin, right? They're all in business. The idea with the blockchain is we can remove these intermediaries because we don't need their validation. We don't need their verification because that is contained inside the cryptography of the transaction.
So I mean, it goes directly from the consumer to the company without the
So let's say you and I want to let's say you want to sell me a rod and reel, which you would never do because you want to hold on to all of them. But let's say you wanted to get rid of them one day, and you said
that'll be my wife when I die. Yes, okay.
And you said I'll accept Bitcoin, Scott, for this. So what would happen is you have a wallet address that has a public key and a private key. Think of it as a key is like a really long password.
Okay.
The public one identifies your lockbox. So if I want to send money to you, I need to know the identity of your lockbox.
Okay.
Right? This is really long key. Now, if I want to access your lockbox and get your money out, I need your private key. That's what you hold on to.
Okay.
So there's the public one and the private one. So if I want to send you money,
incoming and outgoing.
Yeah, essentially. If I want to send you money, I just log on to any of the varied ways that you can send Bitcoin, which we'll have to get into because there's a number of them. But I literally press the button, go through the transaction. Within 10 minutes, you are actually going to have that Bitcoin right in your wallet. And the reason it's 10 minutes is that's the speed of the Bitcoin blockchain. Each blockchain works at different speeds. And it depends on, think about it as different business models. We'll get into this, but each blockchain should be considered a different startup, a different business. So they all have different business models, right? And they're all
using blockchain.
They're all using the same technology. That's right. They're all using this technology which cryptographically takes our transactions and stacks them together. And what happens is it makes an immutable chain because when we lock in the transactions, the only way we can change those transactions is within that block. Once that block is consolidated and transacted, it gets locked away. The next block gets attached to it.
Okay.
And there's no way to change the transactions. So we have a perfectly clear, transparent transaction ledger. So we don't need all that central authority in between.
Okay. Because we have the assurance that the deal is good because of the blockchain.
That's right.
So the flip side, I'm buying something from you.
Right.
So how does that work? The private key.
So it's the same way. So if you wanted to buy something from me, we would just do the same thing. You would have your own key. You would log into your account using your key.
Okay.
Once you have access to your account, you don't need my private key. You need your own. So we have this phrase that says, not your keys, not your coin. What that really means is if you have your crypto on an exchange somewhere, you're trusting that exchange to hold your money, right? Okay. It's not in your lockbox anymore.
Like an escrow?
No, think of it as literally like a digital lockbox, like this transparent lockbox that lives in the internet.
Okay.
And you have one, right? Every wallet has a specific address associated to that. And most of the time, the way we move money is through QR codes. So I can scan your QR code, and it immediately gives me your wallet address, and I just put in the amount of money I want to send, and within 10 minutes you have it, if I'm sending you Bitcoin.
And so I sent you that money out of this with the private key out of that transparent lockbox, but you can't get any more, right?
That's correct.
You can't go
I can only get what you send me.
Okay. So, I mean, you can't go back in and get...
No, I mean, because you had to use your key to send it to me, right? All I did was
scan
your QR code. So that key's
associated with the amount of money that I'm sending you.
That's right. Your private key. No, well, your private key is your permission to send money out of that lockbox.
Okay.
Right. So what I do with your public key, that'd be like your QR code. I want to scan that to know what your wallet address is
and how much money I'm giving you,
or how much I'm sending you.
Yes.
So I'm going to scan to send you money.
So at that point, it is just that amount of money. It's $15. Like it's $15, and here's my code, and you can't go back in. It's a one-time deal.
Think about Venmo. Right?
Okay, yeah.
Except the difference here is if you have a credit card transaction and you want to charge back, there's no chargebacks in crypto. Once the money's gone, it's gone, right? Then we'll get into that, scams and things that can happen. There is no FDIC.
Right.
There is no get out of jail free card. Like if you send money to the wrong place, that's going to be it. Now that's okay because we got plenty of time to talk about that, and we'll get to some headlines. And when we come back from the break, we're going to get into the state of the crypto market and what it means for us today. I know we all want to know, how do we make money today? Should we be investing now? Should you be investing now? What about staking or mining? What do those terms mean? All of that and a lot more coming up next on Beyond the Blockchain.
Welcome back to Beyond the Blockchain with Scott Tindle.
Welcome back, folks. We're happy to have you here on the first episode of Beyond the Blockchain. And today we're talking all about the blockchain, cryptocurrency, NFTs, everything you can imagine. And we'll be doing this every Wednesday going forward, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And if you missed the first part of the show, you'll be able to catch it in its entirety on the podcast. You can go to 106.5 FM Talk to the website and catch the full episode and all episodes, as well as the great shows on this channel as well. So we're here talking about the blockchain, cryptocurrency, and today we really need to talk about the state of the market, right? Because a lot of people ask, and they want to know, what is the crypto market like? Is it compared to the stock market? Is it similar? Is it different? And the answer is both, right? It is both similar and different. And one of the big things that makes it different is that the crypto market never closes. Okay, it's 24/7, 365. There's no Friday afternoon, shut it down, and you don't have to worry about, what's going to happen over the weekend. So that is one big difference. The other big difference is there is no central authority to shut it down if there's no halting the stock, right? As we've seen with some of the kind of the stocks we saw with GameStop and now even with Bed Bath & Beyond today. So that's been pretty interesting. But just like the regular market, we are in a bear market here with crypto, and it follows everything you would imagine, from the global concerns, from the supply chain to the war in Ukraine to everything else that affects our industries in our normal jobs. But there's one big difference in what's going on in the crypto market right now, and it has a lot to do with this big crash we just had. We had a pretty big crash, and it wiped out a lot of companies. And people ask me, what does that mean? I say it's now a pretty good time to get into crypto because this wiped out a lot of the garbage. We pulled a lot of the projects that weren't really sufficient, and we went ahead and pulled them out of the market. And that's going to be beneficial for everyone else as they start to learn, and they can learn these projects without some of the garbage in the middle. I've told people before, and Sean, we've talked about this, as somebody says, what do you think about the validity of most crypto projects? Well, before I was doing this full time, I thought 99% of crypto projects were garbage. Now I know 99% of the projects are garbage, but with over 1,700 projects out there, that still leaves us, hundreds that are still good projects that need to be evaluated.
Okay, I got a question though. You're talking about a bear market. We understand that from equities. Somebody like me will look and go, okay, is it a buying opportunity? And I'm specifically talking about Bitcoin, even though there are other cryptocurrencies. We get trapped in this. When it went to 1,000 for
Right.
Bitcoin, I thought it was overpriced.
Right.
When it went to 2 and 3, and I'm not getting in now. Trying to establish what the real value of a cryptocurrency is for somebody who's an outsider like me is hard.
My typical answer is to zoom out. I can't give you the answer on what the true value is today versus next week versus last month. What I will say is if we zoom out long enough and we look at a 2, 3, 5, 10-year horizon, there's no question which direction the trends are moving. There's no question which direction the chart is going to go. Now, if you're in it for a short trade or a flip, and we can talk about a lot of those things later, that's different. But if we're just talking about, is it undervalued? It depends on when are you trying to liquidate it. Are you trying to liquidate it tomorrow? I can't tell you. If you want to liquidate it 5 years from now, I'd say it's pretty undervalued.
Okay. Does it track with anything else? As we talk about this fall, does cryptocurrency in general, not even specifically Bitcoin, track any other equity or is it related to fiat currency and how it trends?
That's a good question, and a lot of the answer is we don't have that much data on it yet, right? A lot of these currencies are so new. Now, what I will tell you is that most of the altcoins, being anything other than Bitcoin, track Bitcoin. As Bitcoin rises, they'll rise with it, right? As Bitcoin recesses, they'll come down with it. And there are maps out there that track which coins move with one another. And a lot of that is based on their similarities of the coin, the similarities of the utilities, which blockchain they're on. We talked about there's different types of blockchains. There's different startups. So it depends on which vertical they sit in. So if you wanted to think about it like a traditional market, we might say, oh, well, this blockchain feels like the energy market. That blockchain feels like agriculture. Does that make sense? As you start breaking down,
well, I hear what you're saying,
each
but
blockchain does differently.
Okay, so help people understand that though. Okay, blockchain that's associated with the energy market is this in this vertical. How is it? Is it that technology is adopted by energy companies versus another technology, blockchain technology for agriculture, or like how?
Yes and no. I mean, because each blockchain has its own specific specifications that makes it good at what it does. Right now, everyone's looking for the Ethereum killer. They want to figure out what is going to be better than Ethereum, because Ethereum is kind of that
the vice president right now,
there.
right? I mean,
that's right.
Bitcoin
is like the granddaddy or the president, and then Ethereum is the vice president.
Yeah.
And there's all these competing blockchains right now that are looking at the Ethereum framework and saying, how can I do better than that?
How can they do better than that? Because from an outsider's perspective, that is
from a technical,
that's what I'm trying to understand. How you could do better? What makes something a better cryptocurrency?
Well, I would say a better blockchain is one that can do it faster, can transact more transactions in batches in smaller amounts of time, and can do it for cheaper amounts of money. Because at the end of the day, most of these blockchains are built around transaction ledgers. How can I transact this form of currency faster and cheaper?
Okay. So it is the efficiency, is what I'm hearing. Correct me if I'm wrong.
And security.
The efficiency,
the balance
and security
of efficiency and security
of an individual blockchain idea, how it's done.
So what you're seeing is some blockchains are being used to support decentralized finance apps, right?
Okay.
Some are being used for NFTs. Some are being used for gaming. Just like we would use a different operating system, or I might put a different type of fuel in a different vehicle. You might put marine fuel in your boat, but you wouldn't in your lawnmower. It's like it's the same idea. They're trying to mix and match the needs of particular projects with what each of these. So think of blockchain as like a tool. It is a new tool, a new type of technology that can be modified to fit the needs of specific industries. And what we do with that is we add a payment layer over the top. And that's what the cryptocurrencies are. The cryptocurrencies are the payment layer.
But what I'm hearing, and I may be wrong, is that cryptocurrency, if you just say that, is not monolithic. It's the blockchain that drives cryptocurrency is different, is modified differently. Blockchain's not monolithic. I mean, because I hear I hear blockchain, I go, okay, well that's a thing. That means X, Y, Z.
Blockchain means that we are taking a decentralized method of creating a ledger of transactions that are immutable. We can't change it. Once these transactions are finalized, we lock that away and we make a screenshot of it and we say, this is the way.
So how is it different from one blockchain technology to the other?
And this is where we need to bring in some guests who are like serious coders, because I think it gets a little deeper than, I feel like I'm a generalist. I'm kind of like the primary care doctor.
Right.
If we need to talk about how the blockchains operate, that's more of a neurologist. We'll have to bring in a specialist that can really dive deep into that technology. But at the end of the day, the best way to think about it is people are going to choose the real estate that best suits their need, and the blockchain is kind of their real estate. It's where they're going to build their business. Okay. Right? I'm deciding if I want to build a business in Alabama or in Florida. I look at the economic conditions. I look at what makes more sense to me. That's what people are doing with these blockchains.
So there's variance in these blockchains because there's variance between Alabama and Florida.
And people are choosing where to build their business based on those variances and based on what they believe is the most beneficial blockchain for what they want to accomplish.
So there's similarities and differences. Is it fair enough to say like the blockchain is the engine? I started thinking about this for analogy. Internal combustion engines, that's a thing. We all know that. But some run on diesel, some run on gasoline.
That's right.
Some are for torque, some are for high speed.
We're not going to put a Chevy big block 427 in a Fiat, right?
Okay.
That's the same idea. What tool do I need to accomplish?
They're all
what I wanna
internal
get
combustion engines, but they're tweaked differently.
Or they could be a diesel engine, or they could be an electric engine, right? An electric engine still gets the vehicle where I need it, even though it's not internal combustion.
But it's still an engine.
Still an engine. Still serving that purpose.
So blockchain is the engine.
That's a good way of looking at it, yes.
All right. Because as much as I learn from you, I become more and more confused.
If it makes you feel better every day, I spend almost all my time trying to figure out how we take something very, very complicated and make it a little easier so that both I can understand it, but also so I can help other people understand it as well. All right, we're going to head back into another break here at the bottom of the hour. You're going to get some news. And when we come back, we're going to come to some of your questions and we're going to talk to you, find out what you want to know, see if we can answer the question. If we can't, we're going to find the experts that can. Coming up next on Beyond the Blockchain.
Welcome back to Beyond the Blockchain with Scott Tindle.
All right, folks, welcome back to Beyond the Blockchain. I'm your host, Scott Tindle, and we're here to talk about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology and what it means to us and why it matters. Because at the end of the day, I mean, that's what we really want to know, right? Why does this matter to me? Why do I care? And so in this back half of the show, in the future, we'll have guests on. We'll be talking to CEOs and CTOs and the people that are running these technology companies, these cryptocurrency companies, so that we can learn more about their individual projects and we can decide if that's something that makes sense for us, in our lives and how that's going to affect us. But coming into the back half of the show, I really just wanted to talk to you and get some of your questions and see what's on your mind, and we'll do the best we can to answer them. Like I said, if I don't know the exact answer, we'll find an expert that does, and we'll follow up in a week or so with that answer. Sean, do we have anything?
Yeah, I want to throw these in
so
for the text line. By the way, people can text us at 251-343-0106. 251-343-0106 also works for phone calls here. First one from Tim, top 3 projects to pay attention to right now.
That's a good question, and I would say this is
project,
a very...
Does that mean...
Project basically means a cryptocurrency, yeah.
Okay.
Remember, each cryptocurrency is a startup.
Okay.
Each one of them is a separate business, and we treat them that way, and we evaluate them that way. And that kind of leads me into how we evaluate them. And this kind of comes to why these are my top 3 projects.
Okay, so I mean,
right?
So this is the way. Is it? Can I say? Are you scoring?
Yeah, think about Shark Tank.
Okay,
right.
Yes.
When someone comes on Shark Tank,
you know a little something about that.
I know a little bit about that. I still didn't get a deal.
Yeah.
But I did find out
close.
the show was on Hulu, and people were letting me know, and I kept telling them I still don't get a deal. You don't have to go back through and watch that again.
You ruined it. Spoiler.
Yeah, I know. Spoiler. Sorry, spoiler alert. So each project is a cryptocurrency. Each cryptocurrency is a project. And so then the way I evaluate them, at least the way I get started is I want to first say, are the founders public? Do we know who they are? Do we know who's behind this business? Number 2, have they received an outside investment? And if you go to the Facebook page, we posted a graph of...
Your Facebook page again?
Is Beyond the Blockchain Show. If you go to Beyond the Blockchain Show on the Facebook page, you'll see a chart that was posted. And it has the largest investments from the largest technological companies in the world. And what you'll see is that Alphabet, which we know is the parent company of Google, they lead the way with a $1.6 billion line item of investments into blockchain and Web3 companies. We'll talk about Web3 and what that means later. So that's 1 and 2, and that's how we find out, are the founders public? Do we have outside investment? And the third thing I want to look at is their utility. Is there a reason this thing exists, or did they just create a crypto to say they had one, right? Is it a solution looking for a problem, or is it an actual solution? And do we need crypto for the solution, or could we just have a solution?
Yeah, but people will hear that, Scott, and say, but it's just another currency. Like, if I'm stuck and mired in fiat currency, what does the euro solve that the dollar doesn't? What does the dinar solve that the dollar doesn't? What does the peso solve? Right? If I'm mired in the old thinking.
And that's fine. And The answer is it depends on your level of confidence in that currency.
Okay.
What we're seeing in emerging markets right now is people have much more trust in decentralized global currency like Bitcoin than they do of their native currency of their home country, right? So that's the difference. So as an American sitting here in Mobile, we have one perspective on what we think is the value of a decentralized, autonomous, permissionless system. Mm-hmm. And they have an entirely different concept in emerging markets and emerging countries, right? What we see right now, especially in Africa, there are more people with crypto accounts than with bank accounts. There are more people with crypto wallets in Africa than with bank accounts.
Is that a statement of the validity of the crypto or the lack of confidence in the traditional banking system?
Both. I think you answered the question with the answer, right? Because the traditional banking system is so flawed, they're looking for new solutions.
Okay.
This provides a solution for them. We can take lessons from each. There is no one-size-fits-all crypto answer to anything, right? There are going to become solutions that have specific niches, and then we will have means of transitioning different cryptos into the more reserve currencies that we decide to use. We don't know which reserve currency is going to end up being primarily dominant. And anybody that tells you they already know the answer, I mean, they must be time traveling, because I don't think anybody knows that answer yet.
Okay, so analogous here, when you rolled through the things you looked at for a new currency, a crypto, to give you faith in it, right. Is there an analog to saying, okay, I trust the dollar because it's backed by this country's stable, those kind of things? Is that
that's the exact analogy? Yeah, you're looking at the fundamentals of the company behind the cryptocurrency and deciding, do I trust this organization? Do I trust the people behind it? Do I trust them with my money or with my time or with my energy or my effort? And that is something that is very personal to different people. There's a term in this industry called maxis, and what that is people that become so enamored with one coin that they think that is just the end-all, be-all to solve all the world's problems. And like a lot of things, anytime we have extremists in any particular vertical,
right.
That causes, concern and consternation. And a lot of these big conversations come from extremists, just like we see in our normal lives.
Right.
And that, flows through our typical conversations. I think as we go through each week that our listeners will find that the blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies are not any different than every other organization or business they've ever been a part of, except in the few unique ways that transcend what we've typically thought about business. But when it comes to the fundamentals, the understanding, the underlying how do projects work, what does the technology look like, you can get in there and you can dig through the nuts and bolts and you can learn it all for yourself.
Okay, so this litmus test you rolled out again, give it to folks that what you look at when you're something new on the scene or something new to you. What do you do? What are your three?
Yeah, before I waste much more brain power at all, I don't have a whole lot to spare, so I got to use it wisely. So there's three things I want to look for in a crypto before I really spend any time on it, and are the founders public? Do we know who created this business? And
so are there some that are not public?
There are. There's some that are anonymous.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And a lot of those come with higher returns, but there's higher risk. So,
right.
Just like in your normal life, everyone has their own risk tolerance and everyone has to make their own decisions. For me, this fits my risk profile. I want to know that the founders are public. You may be riskier than I am and you don't care, and that's your decision. I want to see if there's outside investment. I want to see if some VC firm who's taken the time to put their brain power on it has decided it's worth their money.
Right. And by how much they have put in, it gives you, if you believe in that venture capitalist, you have some confidence in their research.
It should, if you know a little bit about the different organizations.
Okay.
Exactly.
All
right. It's like, let's use a football as an analogy. Who are your offers, right? If you're a high school recruit going to college, we want to know who are your offers. Mm-hmm. You have an offer to Alabama, well, you're probably a pretty good player.
Yeah.
Same thing. Did you get VC money from this group? You're
Gotcha.
probably a pretty good prospect.
So it would be incumbent upon somebody interested in this to also study the venture capitalist and know who is the real deal and who's not.
Study their track record, study their investments,
Okay.
who wins, who loses.
I like that.
This is all gamification. All this is public information. It's all open source. We can go find this if we look for it. So what I tell people is no one can say, oh, sorry, I've missed the wave. It's too late for me to learn blockchain or cryptocurrency, right? That's just crazy. If this was a baseball season, we're still in spring training. We're not even the first inning of game one yet.
I'm glad you said that because there's people, me included, that will say, yeah, I missed it.
Yeah, I understand the feeling, but we are in spring training and we have not even got to the first inning of game one yet. Okay. So we have got a long season ahead of us.
Very good.
But that's exciting for a lot of people, right? So anyway, my top 3 coins or my top 3 projects are Bitcoin because it's the granddaddy, and I think it's got the safest. If you got a risk profile that's a little more conservative, that's probably the best place to be. And I just like the underlying.
That's
principles.
like a blue chip.
It's like a blue chip, yeah.
Okay.
The next one is Solana, which is one of these blockchains that we've been talking about. I like the way they're building their engine. I like the engine that they're creating. I think that their engine is going to serve the needs of a lot of people. Okay. To give you just kind of a short explanation of that, right? I think that's going to be, it's kind of like the muscle car. I think they're going to, if you want a muscle car, this is going to be a good engine for you.
Okay.
If you're looking to put it around and, take grandma out on Sunday afternoon, maybe not.
So maybe Bitcoin's that?
Well, there's just so many layer ones, right? Bitcoin is the slower one. It takes 10 minutes. Yeah. But we can get into all that.
And so then Solana is the name
Solana, of it. Yeah. Solana is the name of that blockchain. And the ticker is SOL. And then the last one is Helium. And I will talk about this one nonstop. This is one I'm personally the most affiliated with, invested in, and putting your money where your mouth is. And Helium is a decentralized wireless network that is trying to connect things to the internet in ways that we've never been able to do before. What maybe was too expensive, we couldn't afford an LTE card, or we didn't have Wi-Fi range to reach it. And through this LoRaWAN network, through Helium, we're able to do that. So we've talked about it on the show before, everything from putting sensors on crab traps so we don't lose them, to measuring water salinity or air quality, or tracking packages, tracking seafood to know, if it's gone above freezing temperature or not.
And when you say
pretty
that,
interesting.
And you say that, Scott, for many people, that doesn't even come into their mind when they think of blockchain technology. All they think about is the straight asset of the cryptocurrency, not the applications of that technology.
And that's what we hope to do with this show, is to educate people on this. And that's another thing I want to point out. This is an educational show, right? So this is not financial advice. I'm not your attorney. I'm not your financial advisor. We're just giving information out here, and everybody should do their own research. But we can help them get way far down the street. We can get them a lot closer. All right, so we're going to go into break, and when we come back, I want to tell you about this segment we've created that I'm kind of excited about. Sean, we talked about it a little bit before, called The Vault, and how that can be practical for our life. And we'll also talk about what the future of the show is going to look like. Maybe wrap it up with one final question. If you've got sneak a question or two in here, we'll see if we can get those in as well. See you in a minute on Beyond the Blockchain.
Welcome back to Beyond the Blockchain with Scott Tindle.
Hey folks, welcome back to Beyond the Blockchain. I'm your host, Scott Tindle. I'm excited you're joining us for the first live episode. We're going to do this live every Wednesday night at 7, and you can join us. You can text in at 251-343-0106 if you have any questions. You can also call in on that line. You can also find us on our socials, Beyond the Blockchain Show, on Facebook, Instagram, Beyond the Block Show on Twitter, because it's just a little show. It's a short little window of words they give us there on Twitter, Sean.
I know you got your features coming up, but can I get one more question in
Please.
From the text line?
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I think as many questions as we can get in, the better.
All right, so Janine asking, how do I not get scammed when dealing with blockchain or cryptocurrency?
That is a great question. And
because that's a thing that goes, our fear of not knowing this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a legit fear, and I think it is a viable one, and people should pay attention to it, right? Because it's kind of like the wild, wild west out there right now. There are ways that you can get scammed even if you didn't realize you were. For example, there are exchanges or cryptocurrency apps that you think are one app, and it's actually a fraudulent app, and Apple hasn't pulled it out of the App Store yet. You could end up downloading the wrong app, putting your money into the wrong place. So you have to be really diligent about paying attention to what you're doing.
You're putting your money into something that's not even
It's not even a bank. right? It's not FDIC insured. I mean,
Right.
this is like I'm putting my faith in, Tim Cook, Apple, Steve Jobs, and the coders that tell me if this is a valid app or not.
But I mean, but somebody could put something on there that's not a valid app, that doesn't even, it's not a good blockchain technology. It's not even a blockchain.
It's like a copycat of someone's actual app, right? So you download the wrong app, and then all of a sudden you end up sending your money to maybe something called a honeypot, where you can deposit the money, but you can't pull it out. That's one of a typical crypto scam, right? So
people are going to hear that and go, "What the heck?"
I think that until you're very experienced, you start with things that are rookie level, right? If this is like baseball, let's start with rookie ball.
Okay.
Right? That's okay. Start with single A. Let's, download a wallet. Download Coinbase or FTX or
Coinbase
BitWallet.
is one I have on my phone. You like Coinbase?
I like Coinbase.
Okay.
It's owned by a U.S. company. It's traded here in the U.S., so they have to follow our own securities laws and regulations. That's the other thing, right? Crypto is worldwide, and there are no boundaries that stop crypto. So the laws of the land apply wherever you're standing, right?
It's incumbent upon us to check where that company's from.
That's right.
Okay.
Like, a lot of these companies are Chinese companies. If that's something of concern to you, then you should pay attention to that. So I like Coinbase. I like BitWallet. They're actually a group out of Houston that just sponsored the Texans. It's the first NFL partnership with a crypto company where you could actually use crypto to buy a suite. So a group bought a suite of the Texans games using BitWallet in this group, and I'm hopeful we may get to talk to them later this fall as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, so how do I not get scammed? The answer is start easy, don't overdo it, take your time, do your research, pay attention to what you're downloading, pay attention to every link you click. You're going to get things called seed phrases. These are your passwords. Unlike traditional passwords, you're going to get like a series of 12 words. You need to write those down. You need to save them somewhere, as many places as possible.
Yeah,
if you lose your password,
right? You and I've talked about this on Midday Mobile before. If you lose them,
you're done.
There's no way to get it back.
There is no retrieving the money out of that wallet, whatever version of crypto it is. So that password is your lifeline. So when you're doing this, if you're somebody that likes to, go home and have a cocktail while you're watching, the ball game or The Bachelor, and order online on Amazon,
right.
Make sure you write your keys down, because this is your seed phrase. These are your passwords to that wallet. So what I would say is, how do I not get scammed? Take it easy. Use verified, trusted sources. We're going to keep some on our website as well. Coindesk.com is a good website that people can use to look up different businesses. CoinMarketCap is another one, coinmarketcap.com. These are two very trusted websites that you can go to look and see if a business has been reviewed or profiled there. But the most important thing is you have to take care of yourself. You have to be responsible for yourself. It's a dangerous world out here. Crypto is a dangerous business right now. I don't want to pretend like it's not.
Okay.
Not because of anything more than it's such a new and emerging technology that people just aren't familiar with it yet. The same way that people get scammed on the phone for Social Security fraud, and or you get a text that says it's the IRS. If you don't send us $5,000, we're sending the sheriff to get you.
Right.
That happens on phones. The same thing is happening on the internet. Crypto just happens to have a lot more money tied up with the mistake. The mistakes are bigger.
Well, and also these things you laid out, we have reason to not be naive about them. We've been given time. We know the IRS doesn't call you, these kind of things. But with crypto, I don't know the rules.
That's right. And that's an important thing of maybe that's what we can do on the show, help educate people. They know when something doesn't feel right. It's like anything else. If it seems too good to be true, it is. No one's giving you your money.
Even in crypto, same old adage.
No one's giving you money. No one is going to ask for your password. Anybody that asks for your password is, wanting it for nefarious reasons. Yeah, it's a scam. So the same way you treat your normal life, treat the same thing with crypto. And, have fun with it. It's something that is going to be with us. It's not going anywhere. We might as well get to know, learn, and do the best we can. We talk about you got to live life as it exists, not the way you wish it existed. Mm-hmm. So we can't wish away the blockchain. You can't wish away the internet or cryptocurrencies. They're not going to be overregulated by governments. We'll talk about how they may be regulated in the future. And but they're not going anywhere. So they will impact every single person's life, and they already are.
Okay, before we wrap up tonight on this inaugural show, you talk about all these things with blockchain, all these things with crypto, but it comes down to wanting to put more money,
right?
Digital money.
That's what most people are
American dollars in our pockets, right? We want to make money. I'm doing this. I'm risking capital because I want to make money, Scott. So when I do, how do I spend the digital money? Do I have to go back into fiat currency, or what do I do?
The answer, like everything else, is it's a little more complicated than that. But the short version is, through these digital exchanges, these wallets, you can move your cryptocurrency from one denomination to another. The same way we used to have to, if we were going overseas.
Right.
You have to go to the bank and change out your cash, right?
So there's a ratio. If I go from Bitcoin to Ethereum, there's a exchange rate.
That's right. They're called coupled pairs. Most things trade with Bitcoin. Most things, the pair is how much Bitcoin is this worth, right?
Okay.
That's the holding. But there you can pair with anything.
How many pesos do I get for the dollar?
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. And so we match that. Most people match to Bitcoin. How many HNT do I get per Bitcoin? And so then that's kind of your method of trade. But you can trade in between any of the cryptocurrencies that are supported on your exchange. So each exchange has different cryptocurrencies they support, right? Because these are all private businesses working together.
Right.
Bitcoin is the only one that's not what we would consider like a private kind of business, because it's just invented out of the ethos. And there's a whole nother conversation that we'll talk about.
I do want to hear that,
and where Bitcoin came from, and that's just another wild story that maybe one day we'll find details on.
Is it really one dude?
There's no way. I don't think.
This whole idea that it's
so Satoshi, is supposed to be this mythological character. I would just be so surprised if it was one person. I think it's probably a collective of people working together. But there's a lot of people out there doing research. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, man, there's so much out there.
Easier to find him or Bigfoot?
Well, I saw the other day that they think that Bigfoot could be real.
I did not hear that.
And we could talk about this on Midday Mobile one day, but they found some DNA details. They think, well, maybe Bigfoot could be real now.
I'm not
what
having
a
this
teaser,
conversation.
right?
I'm not having it with you right now.
That's true, though. We'll have to talk about that another time. But, how do you spot a scam? If it looks like a scam, smells like a scam, probably a scam. If you're ever questioned about it, don't touch anything until you do some research and talk to other people. But what I really want people to know is, don't be scared, right? Don't let the scam scare you away. Just like anything new, go out there, learn new things, embrace it. Creativity is thinking new things, but innovation is actually doing those new things. So it's okay to be innovative and stretch your legs a little bit. If you have questions, go to the Facebook page. Check it out at Beyond the Blockchain Show. You can check us out on Twitter as well and Instagram. And stop by the Facebook pages or stop by the website. Check out the previous episodes. And if you have questions, don't be scared to reach out to me directly on any of my socials as well.